Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to cover just over a dozen different technologies. We've broken them out into 6 or 7 groups. Tools that you can use to work remote, work from home. We're going to cover everything from video conference to remote control to screen sharing. We'll talk a little bit about instant messaging, chat, file sharing, phone, voice over IP, and also just general IT support and how to make sure that things are working for you because of the obvious situation, right? So today is Saturday, March 21st, 2020. There's a big outbreak of coronavirus, and it's forcing a lot of us to work from home. Today, I actually am working remote as well, but it's also Saturday. So I just figured I'd produce a video here for you to help to outline some of the most popular tools and how they work, and hopefully it will be useful for you. Okay, so right off the bat here, I've separated out tools into a couple of different categories. I put phone on the top, file sharing, chat and instant messaging, meetings and screen sharing, unattended remote control, and video conferencing. So let's start with probably what I think is the most important, which is going to be the phone service. So phone service traditionally was delivered based on a copper pair of wires that needed to be physically run to each person's house. Today, there's a concept of voice over IP, which means that your conversation is actually encoded into packets like most other network traffic is, and it gets put into basically a virtual circuit over a phone call to the phone company. So, in other words, the phone calling is going to work over your existing internet connection. There are 3 examples I put up here: Jive, Vonage, RingCentral, but there are many others. One key thing to note about the voice over IP system is if you have one, try to make sure that you're using a wired connection. I'm using a wireless headset right now, but this is Bluetooth back to my computer. When I make a phone call, the actual phone application itself runs on my desktop. That actually helps because the phone call actually goes out from my computer's landline, that wired connection, and then it connects out to the phone company. So it gives a much better quality of signal. You can use an app, right? Like several of these phone companies have apps on their phones, but just keep in mind that if you do choose to use those, it's still going to be what's called an over-the-top technology, meaning it's going to depend on an underlying internet connection. And at the end of the day, if that internet connection is unstable, like if your Wi-Fi in your house isn't great, then that mobile phone application won't work quite as well. So we always recommend in this category of phone service to look for a wired connection and a desk phone application, and that's probably going to work more reliably for you. So I'm going to go ahead and jump down to the bottom part of this, which is meetings and screen sharing. So, so there's a couple of different ways that you can present information. One way you can present it is through a tool called Cisco's Webex. There's also a tool called GoToMeeting. These types of virtual meetings tools, rather, are tools that you can use to invite other people to share a document with them, to review it and kind of collaborate around it. And one thing that I'll tell you about as we get to some of these later groups is that several of these tools have overlapping functionality, but some of them are purpose-built for what they are. So GoToMeeting and Cisco's WebEx do offer other functionality, but they were primarily designed essentially as remote meeting tools. So if you wanted to, for example, show somebody a Word document or edit it with them, or you wanted to present to a larger group of people, then GoToMeeting and WebEx would probably be 2 good choices. So for meetings and screen sharing, we would recommend GoToMeeting and Cisco's WebEx. Jumping over to the right side here for file sharing. Now, a pretty common way that people try to share files and do share files actually is by emailing them to each other, which is a really bad practice for a lot of reasons. Unless those files are really small, then you really should not be emailing them to each other. There's a lot of reasons for this, but the short version is that email was built to send messages out. Email was not originally designed to carry large attachments. Later versions of email's technology does support large attachments. Some mail systems will even support like 20 or 50 megabyte connections, which I think is a little bit crazy, honestly. I think you can probably do it, but not the best use of the tool. So if you need to share a large file or send a large file somewhere, look to set up a tool like Dropbox or Google Drive, and there's also Box and there's several others. But these are some of the more popular ones. As far as chat and instant messaging goes, there's a lot of tools here for this. Again, a lot of these other tools that we use do have baked-in functionality. For example, I'll get to Zoom in a second, but if you started, for example, a Cisco WebEx, there's a chat feature in there. The difference is with the chat systems that we mentioned here, like Skype, Slack, and Microsoft Teams, and others like this, they are dedicated chat systems, right? So they sit in your computer in usually the system tray, which is right there at the bottom right by the clock. and they will send and receive messages for you to other people on your contact list. So it's kind of a very convenient way to just reach out and contact somebody in a hurry. Some of these tools do integrate with other platforms. So like if you send a message to someone, sometimes it might update a system somewhere else, or you can also generate messages within these chat systems from other systems. Like if you get a voicemail from one of these VoIP systems, sometimes there's the option to send a message through one of these chat systems. Again, there is chat functionality baked into some of the other systems that we have, but Skype, Slack, Microsoft Teams is basically built and designed, purpose-built for having just chat conversations. And then jumping to the top left here, this is what I listed as video conferencing. Now, I only listed one here where I listed Zoom for a couple of reasons. I mean, I think Zoom is a really awesome tool. I mean, we use it all the time, both for meetings as well as for presentations. But Zoom was really built around video conferencing. It has a really nice application on the App Store and Android that works really nicely with browsers and computers. So it is a relatively seamless experience, in my opinion, to start and do video conferencing. There are other options. BlueJeans is another option for you too. And in fact, Cisco's Webex and GoToMeeting and Jive and RingCentral too, and Mitel and others, they also offer video conferencing add-ons. So it can be a little bit confusing if you say, well, if I start a conversation in Skype over chat, for example, can't I also turn on the video conference there? And the answer is yes, like you absolutely can. And also Zoom has a chat feature built into it, so you can have a chat conversation. The big difference is that with Zoom, it's purpose-built for video conference. So, for example, if you want to set up a dedicated webinar, you can use Zoom to do that, right? You can't easily do that through Skype. If you want to send a chat message to somebody through a Zoom meeting, you can do that, but it's not going to be running all the time like Skype would be. So again, there's kind of main purposes to these tools. Video conferencing, I would say Zoom is a pretty good choice for kind of standalone video conferencing. And I guess the last tool here on the bottom left is unattended remote control. So these are tools that you can use if you need to get remote access to a separate machine. So for example, two of the most popular tools you can use here are TeamViewer and LogMeIn. And the way that they work is by having a small piece of software running in the system tray. Again, it's a process that runs in the background on your computer. And it allows you to use a client software platform to connect. So in other words, with TeamViewer, there's a TeamViewer client you can use to connect. With LogMeIn, you go to a website, logmein.com, you find your host there, and then you click on the host. It launches the client executable, and then you're able to remotely control your computer as if you're sitting in front of it. Now again, TeamViewer has chat baked in, LogMeIn also has chat baked in, but the main purpose of these tools is to be able to connect in and have unattended remote control, meaning that you don't necessarily need the other side to accept the invitation to connect. It could be set up for permanent remote access. You can compare that, for example, with a something like Cisco's Webex or GoToMeeting, where you need the other side to confirm availability before you can connect. So those two are two tools for TeamViewer, LogMeIn for unattended remote control. And there are lots of others too. I mean, you've got other options. Lots of other software packages kind of cross the feature realm. Like if I made these all into a Venn diagram, it would be a pretty freaking darn big Venn diagram, so I won't do that for you. And I guess in the middle here, I put my company's logo because these tools are so disparate that you do need an organization to help you understand how they work and what the best choice is. Some of them do have cost associated. Some of them are free. Some of them have free tiers with limited functionality. So you've got a lot of options, I think. But at the end of the day, just make sure that you're picking the right tool for the right job, just like anything else, and you'll be good to go. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. We are going to hopefully run a series of webinars to answer any follow-up questions. We had one last week. We're going to probably run another one this upcoming week. But hope this is helpful for you. So feel free to contact us. We'll have our company website up, and we would look forward to talking with you.